Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Procraft. It's my pleasure to bring you the one and only Team Liquid's Zenio. He is in the red trunks and he is playing Zerg to the southeast of this particular map, the Shakuras Plateau, versus his opponent, it is Mini. He is in the blue trunks and he is playing Terran to the northwest. This is not a crazy Korean smurf of minigun, this is not the case. This is simply a player called Mini. It's from the Procraft series and the replay pack kindly provided by Team Liquid, which has got pretty much equal wins and losses in, which is quite nice. I deliberately asked them to not just provide wins, because then, of course, we know who actually overcomes, and that would suck. Most of the stuff that I've cast so far, I think it's been about a 50-50 in terms of Team Liquid winning and Team Liquid losing, and these are from the ladder as well, which means that anything can happen. Always good to see how ladder strategies end up evolving, and the spontaneous and explosive games that can result as a direct result of that. I don't really know anything about Mini, but I do know an awful lot about Zenio. That I can tell you for a fact. Zenio is Code S rank player for Team Liquid. He is a Zerg who, of course, is Korean and plays in Korea. He has an awful lot of talent. I think that he's been somewhat overshadowed by the addition of Hero to the squad. Admittedly, that doesn't make him any less of a player. In fact, Zenio is so incredibly good when it comes to Zerg. I don't think he's as flashy as Hero, and I think that's perhaps why Hero's got more attention, but still, Zenio is so incredibly good. And he's going to be opening up against a 2-barracks play right here from Mini. Can't say I'm all that surprised. Now, hatch first from Zenio as well, which is pretty standard in this matchup. The weird thing about 2-racks is that it's kind of come in and out of popularity. At the start of the game, in the ZVT matchup, back in beta and, of course, the early release days, 2-racks opening, really strong, and designed to pressure and try and force a Zerg player to actually not go hatch first. Thing is that due to the barracks nerfs and the fact that Zerg players have simply got better at holding it, it's not really been too much of a problem for them since, and it waned from popularity, and now it's coming kind of back into fashion again as a way to try and deal with Zerg expands. I think that's more down to the fact that the Terran players have a little bit more confidence with executing it and have the necessary skill to do so. Mini's going right for it and will most likely try and apply a bit of bunker pressure here. Incredibly common to do so. Very smart thing to do as well. That can end up forcing a spine crawler out from Zenio, and it can also, of course, do a little bit of damage as well. If anything, you can turn this into just a bit of pressure that slows Zenio up a little bit, and interestingly enough, that scouting SCV gets blocked there by Zenio, just delaying the bunker slightly, but Mini looking to deploy a bunker right at the bottom here, which is going to be difficult for Zenio to deal with. Spawning pool is about to complete, though, so the lings will be coming out momentarily, as I will no doubt the spine crawler, and this hatchery is going to take a little bit of effort to bring down. There are, however, 3 Marines there already, and wow, Mini's actually pulled a ton of SCVs already. Look at that. He has pulled a significant number in order to reinforce this. He's looking to try and take this game immediately, and Zenio is going to be forced to respond with a full force of Zerglings, and unfortunately, the Lings are not going to do a damn thing here. He's going to have to try and consider something along the lines of spine crawlers, or go directly for, it looks like, a Baneling nest. Interesting strategy. It will do the job, but he's most likely going to end up losing this hatchery here. There's just too much firepower coming in on it. 5 Marines out already, more streaming across the field here. A couple of workers ended up leaving there just to go back to the minimal line here for Mini. This is not so much all in for him, but it is an economically damaging strategy if it fails. Zenio trying to do the best that he can, and now bringing in those Lings to try and desperately destroy it, but he is able to get a surround here. Will he be able to do the damage more to the point? Some good micro right here by Mini, dancing, and keeps those Marines alive. SCV's going down left, right, and center. Another Marine ripped to pieces, and unfortunately, it looks like that hatchery is going to go down. Zenio attempts to defend as best he can. Now, what he needs to do, of course, is try and get out a few Banelings in order to bust his way through this bunker, or alternatively try and just avoid his opponent entirely, go right for his main. Now been forced onto one base here, and looks like he's got enough to actually create some Banelings. He's currently out of range, and Mini just looking to try and tempt his opponent out there. No Zergling speed just yet. He actually delayed that, and he's just looking for a full surround here, which will be very dangerous. He's going to lose quite a lot of Lings, but he doesn't really have a choice. I mean, he's got to break his way through there, and he is able to do so, losing quite a few Lings in the process, and is eventually able to clean this up, and then we can try and count the cost of this defense here. A CC's coming in the background right here for Mini, which puts Mini in a really solid position. Mini's got an economic lead here, as you can see. 20 SCVs plus a mule and the CC on the way. However, can Zenio respond and do enough damage? It's the counter-attack that could do something here, but Mini's got 3 barracks down. That is incredibly cost-inefficient to bust through. Now I'm feeling that Zenio won't try and do that. He doesn't have enough lings, really, to make that work. Can certainly have a look and see what he can see, and then it's like, oh, it's a 3 barracks wall-off. This is really impractical to deal with. Now Zenio coming in from behind, as you can see. 22 drones, 22 SCVs plus a mule. His hatchery's behind, and if we look at resources lost, the Zerg player did lose more there. 3 workers killed by Zenio, but certainly wasn't enough, and a few Marines here and there, so Mini in a good state. Things looking very, very good for him at the moment. Double gas being mined, even actually decided to do a supply drop right there to continue that pressure. He wanted to keep it going, and it was somewhat time sensitive. Interesting decision here by Zenio to go with a +1 ground carapace. I think he's believing that his opponent will stay on Marine for quite some time, and for the moment he's right. Zenio also interestingly bashing his way through here, might be looking to expand in a somewhat of an unusual place. Usually the Zerg will try and take the 3rd up here. He won't take the 3rd closer to his opponent, but it can be well hidden. Also, what else are you going to do with the Lings, more to the point? Might as well give yourself some access, and Mini's 2nd wave now on the way. 13 Marines in total. And he's going to have to deal with that, but Zenio's got Banelings now, so he shouldn't have too much of a problem. It depends just how well Mini actually splits here. 4 Banelings on the way defensively, so it's going to be at the top of a ramp as well, which is an ideal place for Banelings to engage. Zenio backing off here, doesn't want to get anywhere near them just yet. Needs to get the best possible positioning. Mini deciding he doesn't want to go for it at the moment. In the meantime, we can have a look at the way that the tech's going here for Mini. It's got a factory with a reactor going down, which is most likely going for a swap around, and for the most part, this is just going to be Marine, Marauder, and Medevac. Mostly Marine. I don't see any reason to build Marauders just yet. If Zenio decides to go for Roach, that might be an option, but he's going for Lair Tech at the moment, and potentially looking to go for Muter after that. Admittedly, Zenio, has he taken the other 2? He hasn't taken the other 2 gas yet, so it might not be. So we'll find out sooner rather than later. Macro Hatch going down for Zenio, and still working his way through here. Finally, the rocks are down, and we'll have to see if he decides to expand there. It would be an interesting decision to do that. Don't see that all that often on this map. Especially, well, actually, no, it should be alright. I mean, the likelihood is that any kind of medevac drop would go along here and around the back, as opposed to the other way around. I don't know, though. It's kind of 50-50, I suppose. There we go. Will be a Spire off of 2 bases, and the 2 extra gas now grabbed here. So by the time the Spire goes up, he's not going to be able to build a huge number of Muters. He hasn't been stockpiling gas for all that long. He's got a few Banelings out, which is going to pretty much shut down Mini's forces for the moment. Mini's still looking to be economically ahead. He's got a good work account, and he's also got the mules out too, so it's looking a little bit stressful for Zenio here. Mini pushes his way forward, and let's see what he can do. He's already got medevacs filled to the brim. However, he's going to have to deal with these Banelings. No Baneling speed having been researched by Zenio yet, but defensively he doesn't necessarily need it. He is on creep. There's going to be a bit of an elevation here, and is Zenio going to spot it? No, he isn't. It's potentially very dangerous right here for Zenio. Now looking to get in with the interception. Let's see how good Mini is. Well, Mini actually doesn't have stim here. Nice target fire right here by Mini. Loses a few Marines, but not too much. A quick pick up and go, and in fact, the Banelings ended up getting blocked in by their own Zerglings, and Mini deliberately focusing fire, and now his stim is about to complete, so this is going to get a little bit dangerous, and Zenio knows this. He's forced to bring more Banelings in, which he certainly doesn't want to do. He wants to be saving as much gas as he can for Muters. Spire is now done, but he can only build 6 Mutalisks. Not ideal. Alright. Down he goes. Okay, Zenio. Let's see how good this defense is. It's going to have to be pretty damn good. +1's about to complete for Mini as well. Now focusing on the macro hatchery. Zenio looking to try and surround. In the meantime, the 3rd base is going up to the top here, but how good is this going to be? The thing about Mini is that he can just pick up and go, and he takes barely any losses here. A couple of Marines traded for a Baneling. Doesn't really matter all that much, and he's bringing in yet more units, and he's now got a couple of tanks into the fray. Quick pickup, but unfortunately for Mini, he gets shut down very nicely there as the Mutalisks come out at just the right time. A full medevac shut down, and looking now for something of an abusive position, and now you can see exactly why Zenio opened this pathway. It doesn't surprise me to see the attempt to use siege tanks here, but those tanks don't actually have siege tech, and this is quite an abusive position to be in, but it looks like Zenio's going to crush this without too much of a problem here. Very nicely done, and now that is a free medevac buffet for Zenio's mutas. So I guess that's why you open up that pathway to prevent a siege tank siege down at the bottom, which is a very nasty position to be in if you happen to be Zerg having to deal with that. In the meantime, a Marine gets shut down at the top, and Zenio is now comfortably on 3 bases, while Mini's stuck on 2. His drop capability now effectively shut down due to the muta count, and Zenio in a great position. Still having to play a little bit of catch-up, but a few rounds of drones should get him into a really solid lead economically, especially on 3 bases. Trying to force his opponent to expand here will probably prove pretty fruitful, really. Mini can't stay on 2 bases for all that long. He'll mine out too fast. He can't gather enough gas either. Admittedly, his style is primarily Marine at the moment. He's building another factory, though, so it looks like he may try to transition out to mech at some point. He's also bringing in armory as well, so Thor could very much be on the way. Zenio with a little bit of harassment from those mutas here and there, and taking full map control here with the Lings and the Banelings in the center. And the Mutaling style is not remotely unusual. It's very, very effective against this kind of composition here from Mini, which is Tank Marine. Still no sign of Baneling speed upgrade, which is interesting from Zenio. I think he's just holding on to as much gas as he can, wants to build as many mutas as he can, needs to get his count up to the point where Mini can't actually do a lot of damage to him. A couple of barracks shut down. That one wasn't actually even cancelled, so that's a little bit of a win there for Zenio quite nicely. Now looking to try and pick off a supply depot or 2 here and there, but he is going up against +1 Marines with combat shield, so he wants to be fairly careful with how he engages. More tanks on the way out, +2 infantry weapon coming in, so if there will be a mech transition, it certainly won't be yet. He's focusing more on his infantry more so than anything else, so it's still going to be Marine tank here from Mini. But this is the pickle, isn't it? Once you've got so many mutas in the middle of the field, and once you've got Baneling on the ground, well, you're in a position where you can take a 4th, you can expand freely, and the Terran player has a lot of difficulty doing so. Mini ends up getting trapped on 2 bases for too much longer, then he's going to be way, way behind, especially if Zenio continues to pick off buildings here and there, and pick off SCVs here and there. Oh, that was a possibility there for Zenio. He could have actually gone in there and taken out at least 1 medevac, but he didn't want to take the risk, wheeling around trying to stay the hell out of the way of those Marines on the ground there. Baneling Nest on the... well, the Baneling Nest now researching the centrifugal hooks upgrade, finally, and Roach is on the way as well. He doesn't really need those too much. He can still rely on Mutaling for the moment. Mini pushing forward and trying to secure his base, and this is the way that you do it. A lot of Marines, a lot of tanks, and then spread out in a defensive posture and take this base here to the front, where you can easily medevac in additional forces. Muta's now moving in to try and do some damage here. Unfortunately, Mini is too quick for him, and he shuts that down without any problem whatsoever. 4th base is now being taken for Zenio, as you can see. And it's upgrade heaven for him. Now building a large number of roaches to try and break through that siege line, and with that many upgrades, it certainly could do the job. +2 carapace will make them very, very effective. That's a good creep spread by Zenio. He's actually been working this all the way across the map here, and Mini does not want that to happen. He's going to clean those creep tumors out as quick as he can. He's going to be forced to use another scan in order to take that one out, though, so the creep's not going to be receding too badly. And Mini now starting to cut this map in half, which is what tends to happen on Shakuras. Got a lot of tanks in the middle, and it's very, very difficult to deal with. Another scan coming out right there, and that is a lot of Banelings on the way. Many Banelings. So many, in fact. We'll take him up to a total of 24 here. And he's got roaches as well. Zenio's army's looking scary. It's pretty much max, and it's going to engage on creep as well. And Mini doesn't really have a lot of visibility here. He's got control of this Selnaga tower here, but he could very easily be flanked from the bottom. Zenio putting a base in a very risky position here, and then another base a little bit safer up to the top, admittedly vulnerable to drop play. Zenio's going to see if he can pick off any tanks, but tank count is currently at 10, and there's a lot of Marines there as well, and wow, a sledgehammer approach right here from Zenio, going right through the center, and those Marines are the hell out of there. Nope, I don't want to be on creep against speed Banelings, absolutely not. No, no, no. Zenio losing a number of mutas in the process, but honestly, I don't think he really cares. He's looking to reinforce immediately, and he's got the economy to make that happen. Now takes control of the middle again. This is a perfect opportunity for Zenio to actually spread more creep, get a few tumors down. As you can see, he'll be trying to do that momentarily and push that creep over halfway across the map. If you've got creep and you control the Zelnaga towers, that's an amazing position to be in. Zenio did lose a lot of mutas in the process, so I have to wonder if he's just going to stop building those, but he is building +1 flyer attack, so unless he's looking for a transition to Broodlord later on, which makes sense. Aside from that, as we see Zenio inflicting horrible violence on Mini, and Mini's able to get away with the majority of those Marines quite nicely. The Banelings don't connect except for that last one. Good amount of damage being done there, and the upgrade's really kicking in here for Zenio as well. +2/+2 versus the +2/+1 of his opponent. And my oh my, more banelings coming in, and Mini has no intention of letting Zenio hold on to that base there. In fact, does he even know about it? Yes, he does. He's got the visibility and looking to deny it. His tank count is really low, though, so an attack by banelings here could do huge damage. In the meantime, there's been a drop right there that actually shut down this 4th base. Got out of there with a single Marine alive, and that's going to be another base taken out here by Mini. Nicely engaged. Another base taken down at the bottom here by Zenio, just trying to expand wherever he can, but Mini has cut the map more than in half. That drop easily cleaned up without too much of a problem, however. Zenio's looking to be maxed very rapidly, and Mini's tank count is not as big as it needs to be, I feel. Especially on creep, I think that a lot of banelings from Zenio would be extremely effective, would be able to smash through this contain. Thor's being an absolute pain in the ass. More creep tumors going down, and Mini with a tank moving into its assured destruction. I have to wonder if that was misrallied. Zenio now almost maxed out and looking to try and engage across a wide front. It's a little bit unfortunate for Zenio. So those Marines tend to stay alive if they're that well spread out. You can't get good baneling detonations, and Mini drives him back once again. Plenty of Marine firepower, but reinforcements coming in from the back right here. More Lings, more banelings coming in. And that might end up being a snack for those mutas as well, but Zenio runs them right into a wall of bullets, and Mini annihilates them. Mini continuing his slow and inexorable march across the map here. Still on 3 bases, Zenio with an economic lead. The thing is actually that Zenio's army is so small because he's got 92 drones on the field. Admittedly, he can reinforce very, very rapidly, and that's a good baneling hit right there. And it looks like he's finally going to clean up that container in the center, and there's no way that Mini's going to be able to hold on to that. And this is the time when Zenio could start to pile on the pressure, and hey, even take a couple of medevacs for free if he so desires. More reinforcements moving in right here, but without the backup they really need. And now forced back into the center of the map right here. Mini's taking a 4th base behind that, and see how many more drops are coming in. Well, honestly, not all that many. The majority of the forces were dedicated to the center here, and he's a little bit cautious about a counterattack. Can hardly blame him. More banelings coming in, and 15 infestors? I don't think I've ever seen anyone build that many infestors at once, but yeah, it's going to be a transition now into infestors. Roach infestor, and lots of infestors. My oh my. 15 at once, because hey, why not? If you're on 94 drones, I guess you can do that. Zenio looking to give Rhett a run for his money there. I like the way he's also flanking his banelings with the roaches right there to absorb the majority of the firepower. Another base shut down. Mini looking still pretty secure, but he's taking a lot of damage. He actually doesn't know about the hidden base down here either, and that is mining a lot of minerals. It's almost crucial for Zenio's strategy here. Try and keep that base alive, and now there's the high-tech coming in. Now, what do you do with that many infestors? The question is, what don't you do with that many infestors? He's got burrow, he can tunnel, he can do all sorts of crazy nonsense. Mini elevating a number of units up there, and the infestor scouts. It doesn't see the tanks up to the top here. That could be dangerous. If Zenio decides to engage here, then he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Although infestor Terrans now being put around the place. He doesn't have the visibility up there. Now he sees it, but he's going to take a lot of damage from those tanks on the ground there. One shut down and trying to focus fire, and now covered in infested Terrans. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is Zenio staking a claim. The infested Terran plateau is proving lethal for Mini, who takes a ton of damage. And that force now cleaned up in the center once again. Zenio taking damage, but Mini taking an awful lot more. Resources lost. Zenio has lost more, but he's mined a ton more as well, so he doesn't really care about the efficient engagements here. And of course, most of those infestors made it out alive. 12 infestors still on the field, a little bit of energy available here and there. Mini continues this pushing, but Zenio's defense is rock solid. Refuses to allow that to happen. Baneling sadly wasted on that particular SCV, but it's not like Zenio is lacking in funds right now. Another attempted contain here by Mini, and ooh, he's getting very, very close to realizing he's going to see it. There we go. He's actually now going to spot this base that's been here for the longest time, and Zenio is actually out of position to deal with that, and he doesn't have any mutas to deal with it either, so potential loss here. An awful lot of loss. Zenio's going to have to deal with this with drones alone. He's taking a huge amount of economic damage here. As Mini guns his way through. That was deliberate, folks. Zenio forced to actually pull back from that, and the problem is, how do you reinforce? If you've got tanks deployed here, you can't bring your ground forces in. You actually need air units, and Great Aspire looks like it's going to be the answer to this. Oh, a really good surround right there by Zenio. He's losing massive numbers of drones, but he can at least stop this drop from happening. Oh, 33 workers killed, and that certainly brought the drone count down. But you know what? I don't think Zenio cares. He had too many anyway. Now reinforcing with Lings, and here come the Broodlords. And you know what? Mini doesn't have a great answer to that yet. He does have 81 Marines, so if they're in the right position, that'll be great. But, of course, with Infester, Broodlord, those Marines ain't going anywhere. Another expansion coming down right here for Mini, and I think the problem that Zenio's had up to this point is he hasn't been able to harass his opponent. He's had no effective means of doing so. The Muta's got shut down, and not a great fungal growth right there. Only grabbing 5, and a Broodlord torn apart as well in the process, so it was a good trade right there for Mini. Zenio about maxed out once again. More Broodlords coming in. 108 Lings on the field. Another drop shuts down this bottom base. Nice use of the burrow right there to try and deal with that. The Lings will now come and rip those Marines to pieces. Took them long enough. Now Broodlords looking to flank around and take out tank after tank, and this is where this contain starts to be a bit of a problem. Now Vikings will shut this down, but only if it gets enough of them, and oh wow, Zenio caught completely off guard. Nice bit of maneuvering right there by Mini, and he shuts down another expansion in the process. In the meantime, a huge drop of everything Zenio's got right down onto that 4th. Well, that's what I call a bit of harassment. Banelings, Infestors, and Lings now coming down onto the 3rd, which is greedy. It's a actually, this is a 4th base that had no planetary on it. And now Mini's going to get absolutely shredded. And in the meantime, we've got this massive engagement in the center. Zenio with a massive Infested Terran. Infested Terran? What the hell am I talking about? Infestor attack. Oh, wow. Big fungal growths going on right there. The majority of those forces shut down. Broodlord's being torn out of the air, but the ground forces are gone, and that base now taken out here as well. That puts Mini back on 3 bases, and once again, he's got greedy. There's no planetary fortress there. Lings could got that. Mini with a big drop right here onto this base up to the top. Some crazy, crazy stuff going on from both of these guys as they rip chunks out of each other. It's difficult to say really who is in the lead here, but actually Zenio is about to be down to 1 mining base here. He does have a number of forces positioned to actually deal with that, though, and he smashes his way through those ground forces. Infestor's moving in, and unfortunately doesn't get the grab on those medevacs right there. Zenio even has a small strike force positioned to the bottom here to try and deny any further attempted expansion. So honestly, if we look at it, Zenio does have an upper hand here. Only 26 SCVs remaining, only a single mining base remaining for Mini as well. And he doesn't have much of a trust fund either. He's bringing in Thors, which isn't really going to help him all that much against Infestor Ling, and no more Broodlords coming out right here from Zenio, just relying on ground forces here, and that seems like a smart thing to do. He should be able to overrun his opponent. Zenio looking to deny this once again, and he will be able to do so. Forces now moving in. The question is, will he get a good Baneling connect? Mini will try and target fire and is able to do so. Fungal growth lands. Doesn't hit all that much, however. Needs to get a better fungal than that. He's got the energy to make that happen, but Mini deliberately spreading his forces out to try and snipe off the important units like the Banelings and the Infestors, and he's doing an amazing job of it. Great target fire right here by Mini. Should eventually be able to resecure this base, but he's taking a lot of losses in the process, and if this force ends up coming down on him, then horrible things abound. Infestor's now forced to pull back, and Zenio continuing to rebuild his forces, having taken a lot of punishment. He's rebuilt this base. It's actually long-distance mining from the macro hatch, as you can see. And this engagement in the center is what's going to really matter here. More Banelings moving in, and a great fungal growth. Really powerful fungal. And here we go, Zenio looking to try and crush this force, and he should have the means to do so without any problem at all. Infested Terrans come in below the Vikings, and down they go. And that was an absolute smash right in the center, and Mini looking in an awful spot at the moment. Marines are all that's coming out of Mini right now, the single medevac, and those Infestors will gut them. Zenio still denying that base right there. This one's almost mined out, and really, Mini doesn't have the means to come back at this point. Zenio's now resecured this base. He's got the base at the top as well. Things are looking wonderful for him, and a final push through the center could seal Mini's fate. Mini continues to hang on for as long as he can, but really, what does he have to stop this with? Not an awful lot. Fungal growth shuts down a number of Marines in the center here. Looks for the surround. The Baneling connects, and Mini now dipping below 50 supply, and what the hell can you do about that? Not a lot. Infested Terrans now landing, and Mini can't even escape. SCV's gunned down with great vengeance and furious anger right there by Zenio. Mini played incredibly well, but Zenio's defense was just absolutely rock solid this game. Incredibly hard to do damage to. And that, as they say, is most likely going to be that. With the last mining base now about to fall, and those SCVs being gunned down. Mini dropping below 40 supply, and what the hell do you do other than GG at this point? I guess we're about to find out. Will Mini be able to re-expand? I don't think so. There's no drops, there's no harassment coming in from Mini at this point. He's just desperately trying to hang on, and this one base is all that he's got. Actually now deploys it, and well, there's not a lot you can do about that, is there? Even that final Viking will not get out of there. The lost Viking. 22 supply now versus 147. GG, ladies and gentlemen, or crab as I like to call it in the Korean. And the game goes to Zenio in a pretty convincing fashion. But it did take an awful lot of effort to make that happen. Mini put on so much pressure. I think what impresses me about that game is just how resilient Zenio actually is. He refuses to concede. He held that container around this area for so very long. But there you go. Some great play there by Zenio. And after a short break, folks, I'll bring you a hero game. Oh yes, that sounds good. Don't go anywhere.